An important part of anyone's life is staying fit and active. For someone with a neuromuscular disorder, that will take the form of physiotherapy. Marion Main is a physiotherapist with over 30 years' experience of working with people of all ages with neuromuscular disorders.
If you look for a dictionary definition of physiotherapy, it'll talk about rehabilitation by physical means. And basically what that means is it's a hands-on profession. We work to try and maximize the function that every individual has in some sort of physical way, with exercising, with stretching.
The majority of the physiotherapy world is for non-disabled people who need to recover after an injury. Neuromuscular conditions present a different challenge.
In neuromuscular disorders, one of the problems is the weakness causes three major things. One is loss of function. If you're very weak, you can't walk, and in some cases, you cannot sit independently. So physiotherapy will in part be trying to look at how they can maintain power, and if they can't maintain power, to make the most use of the power that is there.
Michaela Hollywood is 31 years old. She lives in Northern Ireland, and she is on a new drug treatment for her spinal muscular atrophy. This means she now has the opportunity to regain function above the baseline she's already achieved through physio.
Yeah, so for me, I do physio to maintain any function that I have, first and foremost. Physio is really important to keep the range of movement, to keep you actually feeling strong and feeling like you're on top form. And it's actually a bit, if you think about elite sports, I'm a massive snooker fan. And snooker players will tell you they're not match fit. And they haven't played any matches recently. They go into their match and they're a bit slugged, and it shows in their game. And physio for me is a bit like that. I have to be match fit. I have to be in tune.
There is another phrase, a new one called prehabilitation. Prehabilitation is the idea that if you know you're having an operation, if you know that you are going to be in hospital for something, that the fitter you go in, the fitter you will come out. Now, being weak will also cause tightness of the joints, and this happens because you will get some strong muscles and some weak muscles, and the strong muscles will pull.
Ross Hovey attributes his continuing good health to his commitment to physio.
Physio is really important for a couple of reasons that I want to highlight. Contractures for people with neuromuscular conditions mean things like getting dressed, going to the toilet, basic things become difficult. But then what about if you want to be an athlete in the bedroom still? If you can't lay flat, you're going to have some difficult time having some happy time. So actually, there's some real knock-on effects from not being very tight with your joints and being able to do things. And also, it means that caring for you is more difficult. So doing regular stretching is really important.
And these contractures can appear in everything that is a joint. And that includes the neck, the spine, the jaw, curvature of the spine. And this happens because the muscles in the trunk, both front and back, are not strong enough to hold the body up, hold the very heavy head on top of the spine, and everything gets curly. That's called scoliosis, when your spine's not straight.
As a PA to an adult with a neuromuscular condition, it's likely you'll be helping them with their own self-directed fitness and home physio activities. Sarah Rennie gets advice from specialist physios through a charity and mainly does her regular physio at home with the help of her PAs.
I very rarely get physio on the NHS. I've had it once or twice when I've had a specific need, and that's been for like 6 30-minute sessions and then it's goodbye, which is not actually helpful for someone who lives with a neuromuscular condition, physio is hugely beneficial. So day to day, I rely on my PA to do basic, very basic, but very important over the long term, stretching exercises.
There are days I will do a big bit of something, wherever that something might be. So it can be dangerous to miss. It might sound really small and insignificant, to pick up coins or type a line of text on a keyboard, but it makes a massive difference.
There are many things that people can do at home. Many of them will need help. Some of them won't need help. You may need equipment, and there is easy available equipment out there. A lot of gym stuff that you can use.
Physio is a really integral part of my day-to-day life. And a lot of the things that I do that I quantify as physio may not be something that other people will think is physio. So even something as simple as typing on a keyboard can be really important.
The person you're working with may have been given a personalised home physio program to work through for their goals. Or they may now be familiar enough with their condition that they manage their own fitness regime.
So I do regular physio and stretching every day that I train my PAs to do. And it's part of their job that they need to do. It's in their job description. I also go swimming a couple of times a week. Swimming is the only form of exercise because the gravity, which is the biggest challenge for people with neuromuscular conditions, is taken away. It often enables them to do more things than they would be able to do, say, in their wheelchair.
For somebody who's very weak, anything to do with manual dexterity will be good exercise.
The other things that I kind of do, which are structured, are things like knitting, colouring in, and 5D paintings as well. So the little diamond paintings that you see on social media. Those are more focused on fine motor skills, which are really important to me.
Very often, position also makes a difference. If you're very weak and can't lift against gravity, then we need to find positions where you can move your limbs. It might be when you're lying on your side. It may be that it's sitting up or lying down. When you are trying to exercise, you can do it passively, somebody is doing it, or you can do it actively, you are doing the movement. But what we find in the weakest is that we use what we call active assisted movements. That is when somebody is helping you, but you are doing as much as you can. From there, we go to more active movement. We go to what I call gravity neutral positions, so that I can't bend my arm up, but I can do the same thing in a gravity neutral position. In other words, I'm not trying to move it against gravity. And from gravity neutral, the next level is against gravity. These are the conditions where you can do things like lift your arms a little bit, take them out a little bit, move your legs more. You may be able to bear some weight, even if not in standing. You can come to the front of a seat or your wheelchair and put your feet on the floor and work your legs. You may be able to kick.
There are many types of neuromuscular condition, and depending on what's causing the weakness and where the condition causes damage in the body, there'll be different needs and risks related to physio.
Individualized programs are by far the best. They will be specific to you. If you're stronger, you can use therapy balls, you can use weights in some conditions. If you have something called a dystrophy, any dystrophy, then you wouldn't be using weights. If you have a myopathy, then you are less likely to do any muscle damage and you can use light weights. And for some conditions, you can really use weights, but you have to consider that both in SMA and myasthenia, fatigue is one of the major problems, not muscle damage, and people will fatigue quickly. So although there are basic principles, there are still quite big differences between one condition and another.
Of course, things can go wrong and injury can occur. There are ways to avoid that injury in the first place, and there are ways to use physio to recover from an accident.
Physio should never, ever, ever be painful. There is no positive in no pain, no gain. And that's for lots of reasons. Firstly, if it hurts, you aren't going to want to do it. It's as simple as that. If something hurts, why would you want to do it? None of us would like it. It's as basic as that. But if something's painful, it's telling you that something is wrong. Why are you doing it if it hurts? It can't be right. So that pain is not useful. It may suggest damage. It may suggest injury. It may suggest that there is a process going on that we don't know about.
When I broke my arm getting on an aeroplane at New Year when I was about 21, because I was wrongly handled by the airline who picked me up wrong, that meant that I'd broken my right hand. What do I do with my right hand? I drive my wheelchair. So thankfully, I was able to, with my dad's help, put the controls on the left, and I had to learn to drive with my left hand, which is like writing in the hand you're not used to. So I was able to do something, but that was really hard. Also, I wasn't then able to feed myself, and I was in a cast for 8 months.
The problem with injury is that unless you work straight away, you will lose function as you have an injury. Many people with neuromuscular disorders who are walking and end up breaking a leg really struggle to start walking again unless they're very strong. So we have to think that there are things that we don't want. And this obviously will involve orthopedic surgeons who put you back together if you break something. So we need them to know that spending 6 weeks in bed with a broken leg is not necessarily useful if you're used to a fairly active life in a wheelchair. People don't understand what happens even with a broken arm, because when you break your arm, not only does your shoulder get stiff, and it's one of the few times that shoulders get extremely stiff, you tend to lean away from the side of the break. And that can cause problems with your balance, with your hips, and with your back to give you back pain. The easiest thing is to actually think, what do I want to achieve? What is feasible? What is getting in the way of me functioning? And we don't mean your contractures, your scoliosis, and your weakness. We mean, what are my immediate problems that I think that physiotherapy, exercise, activity could help me achieve?
It shouldn't be hard, but it shouldn't be easy either. There's a very fine balance to that, and for me, it's about managing that balance. So there are exercises where I don't want to be pushed at all. All I want is to maintain whatever the comfort level is. But then there are things when I will want to push. And as an example of that, if I was writing a report for work, I would want to be able to write for a prolonged period of time. And that is outside my comfort level, so I will do that.
There is nothing greater in life than disappointment. So that if you think that you or somebody else thinks that you can achieve things that you can't, or you can achieve them faster than is feasibly possible, it can be negative.
Historically, I've set myself very unrealistic goals. But when I first started seeing the physio, one of my goals was to eat pilau rice with my curry without getting it everywhere. I've not quite achieved that goal, but that says a lot about what my aspirations are in life.
As anyone knows, sometimes it can be hard to motivate yourself to exercise after a busy day or when work or social life.
When you have a significant condition that impacts your day, all day, every day, and you've got other things going on, we have to stay quite motivated to, after a day's work, go to hydrotherapy, or stop work to go to physio, then do my work later. So prioritising my health is something I've chosen to do, but I have to It's not easy.
The question is, what do you want? What lifestyle do you want? It's your choice. You are an adult. You have to decide, ultimately, this is your body. I can give you an exercise program. I can give you every single piece of equipment on earth. I can send in the physios as often as you want. But without you working, nothing happens. I can't make your muscles work. Only you can do that.
My own personal motivation is that whatever I can do to remain whatever function I've got, I want to do. There isn't a magic pill I can take it until one's invented. And even the latest drug treatments don't, they're not miracle things. So there's no magic pill in the morning that makes my muscles stay how they are or keeps me supple. My motivation is also I like food, and actually, if I can do some form of exercise, it means that occasionally I can indulge myself in a more calorific treat of a meal.
Endorphins are things you have yourself. They are in your body. They switch on when you do certain things, including yoga, including anything happy. Eating nice food makes you feel good. And even exercise can switch on your endorphins, which can make you feel better. Now,
my other motivation is I want to live as long as possible. There's so many things that I haven't done in this world yet.
In this module, we've heard what physiotherapy is, how physiotherapy applies to neuromuscular conditions, and why physio is important. We've discussed some effects of neuromuscular conditions, how a person might get and do physio, and some of the types of exercise this might involve. We've talked about the risks of injury, setting realistic goals for physio, and how different people with neuromuscular conditions motivate themselves to exercise.